Backstage with Mothership on Solid Rock Radio begins now. Hear the best in new music, artist interviews, stories from the road, and more. You are now backstage, and here's your host, Mothership.
Hey everybody, my guest this week is Nick Detty of Wolves at the Gate, and I'm not wasting any time, we're jumping right in. The last time I interviewed you was in, I think it was November of 2022.
Yes. Yeah, we were talking about next year. Yeah.
We were talking about eulogies, we were talking about the live session.
Yeah.
How you got on with the band. So we're going to skip all that because we've done that. Somebody's going to have to go back and find the other interview.
Right.
Let's talk about what's going on now. Are you still getting a lot of good feedback from eulogies?
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's doing great.
So that cycle is over and you're moving on.
Yeah, most of our focus has been on all the response for Lost in Translation. So it's just been cool to see what people think of that and just kind of what their, what their opinions and taste is on all of that. So, which has been, from what I've seen, mostly positive. So that's been awesome. I mean, it's kind of a step into, a lot of new territory for us. So.
Do you like doing new things to kind of change things up a bit?
Try to. I mean, we try to shake it up,
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, it's never a bad thing, every once in a while.
Well, let's delve deeper into the Lost in Translation album that just came out. If somebody doesn't know, and this may be a revelation to somebody, those are all cover songs. We need to know how this album happened.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Like every band that's on that, record is always songs I always thought were really cool or just really well made, or just some of them even songs that were just nostalgic and that we just had been listening to for years, and some of our favorite bands. So yeah, because we did one back in 2015, but it was only 3 songs. It was only a really small EP. So yeah, we just kind of thought, well, is this something we'd ever want to do again? And for a few years now, we had thought we would want to, we just started picking songs that we've always really thought would be a cool cover, or, we always we're man, I love this song. It's one of my favorite bands. I've always wanted to cover the, Jimmy Eat World or 30 Seconds to Mars or stuff like that. Really staple rock songs. Yeah. And that's pretty much it. Next thing we knew, we had a Spotify playlist that had over 200 songs on it. So well, let's do our best to figure out which ones we're into. So
I think I heard in another interview that Steve completed one and then y'all decided to keep going. Is that the way it worked?
Pretty much. I mean, he already had a demo, pretty much a rough demo for most of them, but he had finished one of them. I couldn't remember if it was the John Bellion one or which one it was because I think it might have been Heathens, because he'd been working on Heathens for a little while, and then so. All right.
How'd you narrow that list down?
Honestly, it was just kind of narrowed down by Steve working on them. It was, just kind of whichever ones he felt most comfortable with, really. Obviously we all made the final decisions on a lot of them, but it was mostly just ones he felt like he could tackle and really make something unique out of. So, yeah, it was mostly just it's hey, I worked on this one. What do you think of this? And, of course, every time it was that sounds sweet. Let's do this. Yeah. So it wasn't
hard.
Yeah. Yeah. It usually isn't, thankfully. Obviously Steve puts out, he always puts out gold or puts out fire. So we don't ever struggle in that department with him. He's a pretty unique and ingenious songwriter. So
yeah. Prolific.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So as believers, did you have any hesitation about picking any of the songs? Were these all songs that, like you said, you already like these artists and listen to this music, but was there something in the content that you wanted to pull out from the ones you chose that would kind of speak to believers?
Yeah, I guess yes and no. Some were just songs that we thought would be really cool. Obviously, I don't really think you're going to get a prolific gospel message out of The Pretender, from Foo Fighters. But for the most part, yeah, a lot of them, if not most of them, yeah, there is some sort of undertone that we kind of enjoyed, or at least seemed to kind of gather from the song's lyrics that might have might have been just that maybe have come from a certain viewpoint in that way, that kind of aligned with, obviously the message of the gospel that we share, with people.
When wearing the worldview glasses of a believer, it could be sort of interpreted.
I guess. I mean, I always really struggle with that concept. You know what I mean? Because it's just like, at the end of the day, like, whether that was the person's intent or not, like, as a musician, you know what I mean? Like for me, like, I'm just like, I like good music, like I like the music that I like to listen to, and, some of that is Christian and some of it's not, it's the way, I guess, especially as a musician, when you listen to certain bands for like certain things, or like you think they do certain things well, like sometimes that isn't a factor or whatever. But yeah, I mean, in the context of our band, like obviously we like to try to keep that consistency, but I will say that some of them were just like, no, we just really like these songs because they're from bands that are really, like I said, Foo Fighters, Jimmy Eat World, 30 Seconds to Mars. They're just great bands. Like, I mean, I don't necessarily believe that they may have had any like Christian undertone in any of their music, but like they were fun songs to do. And I think there should be just as equally maybe some sort of, appreciation for those songs as what they were. Our drive is not for them to like be Christian, I guess, as such a weird. Yeah, I don't know. It's just when it comes to music, that conversation is the line is so very gray, you know.
I kind of see it the way as like when I'm listening to something secular, I do think of it from my worldview. And if there's something offensive in it, I like it. It repels me because I'm a believer. So you wouldn't have picked songs that had things that would be like, Oh,
I can kind of see where you're coming from. Yeah, no, that's not. Yeah, if it's something that's like opaquely like just vulgar, whatever. Like obviously that's a no go. Like that's just like no, we're not going to do something like that. Yeah, yeah. There is that like that middle tone. You know what I mean? Like this may not be necessarily Christian, but it's also not like it's not offensive in any way, or it doesn't like drive to negative. It has like a genuine message.
Just things about life.
Yeah, of life. Like with heathens, there's the different things they go through. Heathens talks about like, not judging people by just their face value and what they are, like really diving deep into people's personalities and like just understanding their story, that you may not know the whole thing, but like, it was a cool record.
I don't want to beat a dead horse, but how do you deal with all the negative comments you've gotten on social media, specifically about covering secular songs, or maybe the confusion on what direction you guys are heading in?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Like you mentioned earlier, there's been an overwhelming positive response about this album. I was reading some of the comments on social media. They love the songs that you selected. They love the treatment, the arrangements. Some of the fans were talking about the nostalgia behind the songs for them personally because they grew up with them. It seems to really resonate with your fan base. But then you have that lowest common denominator that chimes in, kind of the naysayers. We're supposed to be in the world, not of it. They are disappointed that you used to preach the gospel and you don't anymore. They think that somehow all of a sudden everything you do is going to be either cover songs or secular songs. So how would you address people with that mentality?
I mean, lovingly, of course, like, hey, man, like, I'm sorry that you feel that way. This is not a direct representation of like everything that we do. This was just something fun and challenging for our band to do, and just to be able to put out a different, side of our music that we thought was really fun to do, and hopefully that people would enjoy. Like, I would argue that your viewpoint is very ignorant, like it's very closed-minded. Either you're just not giving those songs a chance to be listened to, even though they're very good and there's no like malicious undertone of any of this music, or anything. But like, I would ask you to challenge yourself and just like asking, what is it about these songs that makes you think that there is a certain way that the gospel message is shared? Like, Jesus taught in many different ways. Like, he didn't just go over and thump everybody with the Torah. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't just go over and just like start telling people that the Pharisees and Sadducees are like, no, like there are many different ways that like Jesus spread the good news. I mean, the other thing too being is like, if this is an opportunity that people, you know, that we've been able to use to like for people who have never heard our music before, and they hear that and they're like, man, this cover song was really good. It was like, wait a minute, they're a Christian band? Like, that's crazy. Like, what? Like, this music's really good, you know, or at least hopefully anyway, you know, not whatever, but, you know, like, and they got to hear the gospel message through what we were doing because they listened to a cover song. Yeah, I would ask what's more important, your pride or the gospel? Because, like, that's kind of what you're making this out to be, is you think that we're this certain thing and we're not. And that's why, like, I have a really, really, really hard time with the Christian band label, because, like, every band has a message that they share, right? Like, whether good or bad, like, the morality in it is obviously for believers, like, we think that it's objective, but to most people it's subjective, you know what I mean? Because morality is in the eye of the beholder, essentially. You know, they don't know God's law. They don't know any of those things, you know? So it's like understanding that and like having compassion for those people who like are still seeking the truth, essentially. I mean, we are too, you know what I mean? We're in the same boat. Like, it should be a door. It shouldn't be a window. Like, you know, like for those people who are looking for different outlets to like experience new music and stuff, you know, and if we're able to share the gospel message through that, obviously that's our main priority. But it's like none of that is ever compromised in that way. Like, it's not like we just suddenly say, yeah, we're not Christians anymore. Like, then I would understand all of those concerns. But I would just ask you, like, hey, maybe really think about like what you're saying before you say it, and maybe think about it in the context of what you're saying it in, because it sounds really silly.
Thanks for covering that.
Sure.
I was thinking to myself when I was reading that post that, and say, just maybe, somebody will go to their show because they heard them sing that song, and they'll get to hear the gospel. Because you're not going to just sing the cover songs at the concert.
I don't understand why people think. I mean, people have been saying that every record, though. That's the problem. You know what I mean? Like, we've implemented more and more rock sound into what we're doing. You know what I mean? We're not just a metal band anymore. Like, we've started like bridging the gap between that genre and into the radio rock scene and stuff like that. We're still continuing to move that direction while still retaining our sound. And like we've changed the way that we share the gospel many different times just to find different and unique ways, like, to still share the gospel message without like sacrificing any of its integrity. And some of that is involved in just like really changing the tone of the lyrics and like maybe really causing readers to like think about what they're reading, you know, when they're or listening to, you know, our listeners. I've had plenty of people comment on stuff and just like, well, you're not sharing the gospel, you know what I mean? Because it's not the typical we are the ones or captors way of like sharing the gospel and music that we have in the past. And I just to me, and I'm sorry if this offends anybody, but to me, that's a very Bible thumping attitude. Like, I'm sorry, like, that just is like, you sound like you have no compassion for people who don't know the gospel. Not that we're of anything or of anything of value, but that we do our best to find many different ways to share the message. Yeah. And if it means that somebody heard it and a life was changed, or someone experienced real freedom and peace in Christ because of it, like, why does it matter? Like, why does that matter? Like, I don't know. But I mean, that's all in God's hands.
There you go. Okay, so I have to confess, I never heard the originals of any of those songs on the album.
Oh, okay.
So I had no expectations.
I've heard pretty much everything. You know what I mean? I've heard both. I've heard people who've I've never heard your version, obviously. Fun fact, if it makes you feel any better, one of the guys I play games with, online and stuff when I stream and do all that, one of the guys in one of my groups, I had shown him one of the songs at one point, and I showed him the John Bellion song. I had never heard of John Bellion before that. He actually showed me the original. He sent me the original song, and he's like, dude, I love John Bellion. He's like, dude, I'm so excited that you guys are covering this. That's awesome. I was like, I'm sorry, man. I think I've maybe listened to the original once. And he sent it to me. He's like, dude, this song is so good. And I listened to it. It actually legit, it made me cry. It was so beautiful. He's such an insane songwriter. He's so passionate in what he does. I think he's a believer. If I'm not, if he isn't, he's very convincing. But
now, what song was that one?
Stupid Deep.
I like that one a lot.
That song rocked me, like legit. Like and especially obviously like with Steve singing it was even better, but that thing was insane. Yeah. And the original song is even good. Yeah. So there were definitely songs on this that I had never heard that other people had messaged me and said, hey, these are amazing. The original is so good. And this one's even better.
Now I did this for each song. I went to Spotify and listened to your cover and then the original back to back. And I really liked your versions much better in every single case. But, it's more up to date.
I mean, that's great. That means we're doing something good. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I loved your interpretation of them. Heathens, Breaking the Habit, Stupid Deep, The Pretender. I think those were some of my standouts. I thought it was really cool because I didn't go into each song thinking this is how it should sound.
Yeah. That was kind of the hope when we wrote the record, is that like maybe for a lot of our fan base that may have probably never heard these songs before, maybe they hear this and they're just like, man, what? Doing cover songs is cool. Like, I mean, I don't mind like doing like small snippets or like little short form content, but like, when your band revolves around doing cover songs, it can probably get a little bland or a little much. But every once in a while, I think it's cool because it really causes you to think outside the box. Because the work was already done, right? So you really have to be creative with it.
Yeah, I just really enjoyed the way you interpreted them. And of course, I like the heavy.
Yeah.
I could really see how much care went into each one of these songs. You already mentioned Stupid Deep. What are some of the ones that were your favorites to do?
I mean, one that always comes to the top of my head always is the Billie Eilish song. When I was older, that one was great just because like it was like way more metalcore than the rest of the stuff, and I always like when we get like super creative and heavy. Diamond Eyes was definitely cool just because like that song gets all weird and proggy and heavy like towards the end anyway, but we just decided to just like slam on the gas pedal like at the end, like in the last like 45 seconds of it. That was fun. I remember that moment like when we did that. Truly though, like Heathens is definitely one of my favorites. I mean, not just because like we love Josh and Tyler to death.
That's Josh and Tyler of 21 Pilots.
Yeah, like obviously we've played many shows with them back in the day. Wolves of the Gate and me separately from Wolves of the Gate, like in the band I was in beforehand. Like I remember playing local shows with them all the time. And they're just such good dudes, and we love that song. I think it's a great song.
I agree.
It's a top 40 hit for a reason. The music video we did with Heathens was also really fun.
Fantastic video.
Really unique. I just think that was a great experience.
Did the cover album change anything? Or do you think maybe it will affect what's coming next? Or was it like, the cover album's done, let's just get back to writing songs the same way we always do? Or has it changed Wolves at the Gate in some way?
I just think it was like a nice little refresher. Because I could definitely tell the way that like some of the demos like Steve's been pumping out, like they've got like a different like attitude to them. So it seems like that was like a nice little like jolt, I guess. I don't know. I can definitely tell that the demos that we're writing now are way different than a lot of stuff we've been writing. They seem way more unique and creative. And maybe just.
So maybe it did spark some creativity.
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, that's definitely something I noticed, and I guess I never really thought about like out loud, until now. But
I've discovered something.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But I mean, it was just, it was like kind of like a quick little like pause, and it was just like, okay, we're gonna do this real quick, and then like we're obviously right back to it.
I know from our last talk that y'all are continuously writing music. So what's coming up?
So there's not really a planned like release, like a date or anything, but there is new music being worked on, probably coming out some point this year. We're still working on it. A few of them are like pretty close to being done. It's just getting some like final vocals and stuff, but like a lot of it's like really coming together. So
awesome. We got to hang out together at Loud and Proud Festival in Germany last October.
Yeah.
And at that time, you played one of the songs from this album, Breaking the Habit, by Linkin Park.
Yes.
What was it like doing that one live?
I mean, it was fun because, like, we had been doing a tour before that, like, leading up to that. We've been touring for about a week or so in the UK and, like, most of Europe. That was the song that everybody kind of knew. So
yeah.
Yeah, we always, I mean, when you do stuff like that, hopefully you pick a song that everybody knows. That out on people like actually like, sing along.
If they'd never heard Wolves of the Gate before, they've heard that song.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it was cool. Yeah, it was a good response, I thought.
So how was that European tour? I know y'all had some problems getting there and all that kind of stuff. But...
Oh, that was that was rough. Thank you. Oh, gosh. Who did we fly? I'm trying to think. Yeah, thank you, United. That was the first problem. Yeah.
We knew there was a problem when we booked United.
Yeah, it was just nice.
So like half of you got over there and half of you didn't or something?
Well, like less than half. It was only Steve and Ben because our first flight was delayed for like 4 hours. Mind you, like the next show was like within 24 hours. By the time we would get there and everything, it'd be within hours of us arriving because we were landing in London. Gosh. So we get.
Sorry to bring this up again.
No, it's okay. It's funny.
It looks like you're having a little
we were just
PTSD.
talking about the last show that we did before we went to Loud and Proud. Ben had just brought up the time when we were sitting in the hotel before we left for Loud and Proud, where we ordered pizza at like 11:30 at night. It was like some DoorDash equivalent kind of thing, and
nothing's open at 11:30 usually.
Yeah, well, over there it was just some delivery driver from that shop, or whatever, and we were ordering it like near closing time. It took him 2 hours to deliver that pizza.
What did he ride by train?
Or bicycle. Like I don't know. Like I don't know what happened. And we would continue. Like we called the pizza shop like 3 times. Hey, like, is our order on the way? Like, because we had already paid. And they're just like, oh, yeah, we'll call the driver, then it's just this whole disaster. Finally, he got there, and we just sat in the lobby. Like, we didn't even feel like going upstairs. We just sat in the lobby and ate. Well, Frederica was like following the tour around. Like, I think you've met her.
Yeah.
She was like coming out to like, and she even offered to help with merch and stuff too. So she was super nice. And, she like hung out with us and had some pizza and stuff, and it was like 2 a.m. by this point, So I just like, but it was a fun tour. Like it was really fun.
Yeah.
But yeah. So anyway, like our flight got delayed like 4 hours. By the time we got to Chicago, the last flight that was leaving to London was leaving like within minutes of us departing, or getting to the airport. So I mean, we're sprinting down the concourse trying to get to it. So by the time we get there, Ben and Steve and Joey, of course, because he's a monster. He's just very in shape. He gets there way before the rest of us and tells us tell them to hold the door because we were supposed to be on the plane anyway. He went ahead and did that. We got there. They would only let 3 of us on. And we're like, okay, we'll just send 3 people. Like, it's fine. Like, if we have to split up, it's fine. So Ab and I would get a hotel room, whatever, because I was about to rip Delta a new one. I'm just like, listen, you owe us a hotel room, food, whatever else you'd like, help us out here, So
were you on Delta for that, or was that
United? I'm sorry, for United. Yeah. So
forgive us, Delta.
Yeah. Sorry, Delta. Yeah. Sponsorships are probably not coming anytime soon. No. So we get there, and then Joey gets on the plane. All 3 of them get on the plane because we were like, okay, well, Ben has all the info, so he has to go. Steve, if we can't make it, and Steve can at least make it to the show, he could sing an acoustic set. So There you go. Like, yeah. So and then Joey could go just to be another like decent body to have. So it's just like, so that's what we did. So we're sitting there. And I'm like on the phone, like I thought it'd be quicker to just call customer service while I'm standing in line rather than waiting through this long line of people that were on the same flight we were to get to the desk. So I'm on the phone, and then Abishai he bumps me. He's like, "Hey, also get stuff for Joe too." And I was like, "What are you talking about? Joey's on the plane." Here comes Joey walking down the concourse, like walking down the terminal, like towards us. I was like, "What happened?" And he was like, "Well, they lied about how many seats they had available." Because apparently some woman double booked seats. Like she paid for both of them. I don't know. People are dumb and weird. Like, they're just, I don't know.
I can't even afford one seat.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, so anyway, so Joey got kicked off the plane because they miscounted seats. So the three of us hung out in Chicago for like a day and a half, because we had to wait for this connecting flight the next day, like in the PM. So, yeah.
Did they get any instruments on, or to get a guitar or something at least, or no?
I mean, all the luggage was being transferred, except for what was like on our person.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, sure enough, when we got there in London, they met up with Ben and Steve. Like they had to come to the airport and we had to like figure all that crap out and like try to get our stuff. And then there was another issue, like when we finally flew into, what was the airport that we flew in there?
In Germany, Frankfurt.
Yeah, we flew into Frankfurt. That's right. Yeah, when we got to the Frankfurt airport, there was an issue with all that too. And we had to have somebody deliver one of our guitars to the hotel.
Oh.
From the airport because they lost it in baggage.
I don't know if I remember that part. I remember seeing you guys when you landed and us talking and everything.
Well, we didn't have it for sound check. And
then y'all stayed up late. We had a cookout. Y'all stayed up late. No wonder y'all were so punchy.
Oh yeah, no, we were done. We were tanked completely. Yeah, I do genuinely feel bad because I wanted to be interactive and meet people, but like my energy was literally zero.
Well, it made for some good stories. We were going to try to do an interview while y'all were there, but it just didn't work out. But I was promised Nick Detty stories by Steve, and I was hoping to get some tonight, and he wasn't able to make it.
I was going to say, he's an encyclopedia for stuff like that. Yeah.
I know. Well, y'all practically lived together. Well, you did live together.
Yeah, we did. Yeah,
you stayed in his house for forever.
Yeah, we lived in the same apartment together for a couple years.
So he owes me some Detty stories.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, all you got to do is ask. He might even email you some just as a list. Well, there's this one time that this happened, and this one time that this happened.
Well, loud and proud. Loved you guys so much that I think I can announce this because when this airs, it will have been announced. Y'all are coming back.
Yeah.
So I hope you're going to get there a few days early.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to the dates are the 25th through the 27th, right?
Yeah, it's earlier because we had to change venues. We're actually flying into Dusseldorf this time.
Oh, good.
Because it's in Wissen, which is just a little bit closer to Cologne and Dusseldorf.
Oh, okay.
And by the way, I was so glad you sang Lowborn while you were in Germany.
I'm sure we'll do it again. It's one of our favorites. Yeah. Yeah, we're excited. I mean, that was a lot of fun. So we're excited that we get to come back. We're not playing the show on the day, but my birthday is on the 27th. So that'll be a great way to spend my 31st birthday.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
I'll have to try to remember that.
My wife was actually kind of mad at me. She's like, you just get to go to Europe for your birthday. Like,
that's it.
I've never been. It's okay. We are excited to go. So it's just like, I asked about it the other day because I sent that video back to Steve, like out in that email to Loud and Proud about the announcement thing, that I did in my car because I was at work, but I sent it out and then like I didn't hear anything because stuff like that I expect is like, oh, okay, so there's probably going to be a post of something.
This will come out on Monday and that'll be on Saturday.
Very cool. Okay. That's cool to hear such a good response. So
yeah. Awesome. Glad to have you coming back. What else have you guys got going on in the way of festivals or anything? Is there anything you can announce yet, or have you got some stuff?
I mean, it's kind of funny because like I hate just being like guy that's like, oh, it's on our website. I mean, really though, like we're not doing a whole lot this year because we've just been focusing on writing. So it's like there's no like big tours planned or whatever. So I guess as far as it is right now, there's really not much to write home about. Some of these guys have got some, having babies and stuff like that kind of like puts a hold on touring for a little bit.
Yeah, it kind of slows the progress of things down. I get what you mean.
Joey's getting ready to have or just had like another baby like here soon. Yeah, so.
Y'all stop having babies. What are y'all reproducing for?
I can't tell you. I mean, maybe we just, I don't know. Listen, I'm crazy about this little girl though. She is my world. Listen, I'm doomed.
It's wonderful, isn't it?
It's over. I'm doomed. Yeah.
How old is she?
She's 2 months. She just turned 2 months 2 days ago. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you have so much that's going to be going on. Just when you think you got them figured out, they change.
Yeah.
Especially that age. They grow so fast and they change so fast. That's a wonderful time of life. And I'm going to let you go because I know you're a sleepy dad. You got music to work on.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've got music to work on too, so I can't afford to be sleepy dad right now.
Okay.
It was great to get together with you again. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was great to talk to you too. Hope to see you out there on the road, and at least I'll see you in Germany. Don't forget to fly Delta.
Right, exactly.
But I'll keep an eye on your socials.
Okay, sounds good. I mean, you'll hear about it pretty much as soon as we do. So.
All right, man. Good night.
See ya.
Thank you for listening. Stay tuned for more great music and check out my blog page on the Solid Rock Radio website for my guests' social media links. If you've missed any of my past interviews, you can find them uploaded to podcast.solidrockradio.org. Have a wonderful week and let's be kind to one another.